Previously on
Okay!
Stupid.
Well, here we are again.
Cut! And in a Petersonian sense. Petersonian?
You see bananas at the organs, artsy books.
Can we get some tentacles in here?
The fucking balls keep getting stuff. Okay. Don't say it.
Okay!
So the next section we have Puck and Teresia in Teresia's room. So Teresia, the name, it's not Teresa.
But none of these things apply in the case of Mother Teresa because it's the simple matter of record that she was a fanatic and a fundamentalist and a fraud.
Teresia.
Like, what's going on there?
I would say that it's Teresia and it's ENGRISH. It's like, they kind of, I don't know, like I feel like it's a more eloquent name than Teresa.
I like it. I do like it.
It's like a little more regal. And so you see this a lot. There's a lot of this. But you haven't encountered it because you haven't been hanging with the J boys the way I have for years. But yeah, so that's a fun thing. And then so she's locked in this tower, right? And Puck is there, like talking to her, like realizing what's going on and kind of, talking some happiness into her. Obviously she's like, I know that you're in a cage. I know what it's like to be in a cage too, because I live here every day. And I'm just thinking like, it's a little bit like, I was thinking about Rapunzel when I was reading this, because she's locked in this tower and she's got these long locks of hair, and so I was looking at that story, the Grimm's thing, and it's a little cliche, like, did you know that Grimm's fairy tales are actually quite dark? But it is funny because, like, a witch is keeping her up in that tower, and like you were saying, we were talking about it, and you were telling me, like, she kidnaps her from her home or whatever. But there's a little bit of a relationship between them. And then the prince comes up and he falls out of the tower and stabs his eyes out and like wanders around in the woods for years, like munching on berries or whatever. Anyway, so just some little tidbits about that. But in this scenario, the Count is the witch and he's keeping Teresia, who is Rapunzel, locked in the tower. And I guess that makes Puck the
prince.
The prince, right? But he's not going to fall down and get thorned up, right? Because he can fly. and so she tells Puck this story of what happened to Teresia's mom and how the Count changed when that happened, and that story is cool as fuck. She gets kidnapped by a pagan cult of heretics. It shows some pretty cool imagery of her getting her heart ripped out, which is what she said happened, Yeah, it's cool. It shows another thing of like the idol they're worshiping, and it's, this like bat-winged goat deal, and it's got like, it's very aroused, right? Like this thing has a phallus that is there and ready to go. And it's also got these two snakes coming up around the side of it. And so it's actually like the Caduceus symbol. And so like we say Caduceus here, I guess generally, but I was looking at the pronunciation and a lot of seems like the European pronunciation is Caduceus. And so I was looking into that a little bit, and on the sort of occultist side, the Caduceus staff belong to Hermes Trismegistus, which is this sort of whether this is true or not is just up to how much, what your tarot reading is, I suppose, or which star sign you're born under.
Oh, what
the cards divine for you.
The knave.
You're very free-spirited.
Rationality's disregard.
You aren't religious, but you are a very spiritual being.
The stoned man.
You're independent and your spirit is free and you're spiritual.
Bard of apes.
You're a wanderer, but you're not lost. But hot boys could help you out, but creeps should really just leave you alone.
But Hermes thrice great is what Hermes Trismegistus means. And he's supposedly a mixture of Hermes, like deity figure Hermes, who is in Roman, it's Mercury, right? So it's like he's depicted as like a god with a helmet with wings on the head, So it's like, have you ever seen like a sort of Roman centurion style like helmet with metal wings on it, like Thor has basically. Okay. He met Thoth, who is the Egyptian god of the dead, like he like ushers people into the afterlife or whatever, and that's the one with the like bird head. Yeah, and so the stories, all the alchemical stuff is like they met, and then was born Hermes Trismegistus, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But the caduceus itself, I mean, it's a medical symbol. It's on all the medical stuff. So
I like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Crap.
But it's cool imagery, and it's great to just straight up put a dick there instead of having it being a staff. Because looking up the story for like how this came to be, another like alternate thing is that a seer named Tiresias. He was just a seer. That's his job. You could be one of those back then.
Tiresias? Teresia?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting pull there. Yeah. So he found two snakes fighting in the road, Tiresias, and he tried to separate them because he can't come on, break it up. And then he turned into a woman for 7 years by doing that. Like he did it, and then he turned into a woman for 7 years, and then 7 years later he saw two more snakes. And he's like, and I told y'all to say, what's going on here? So he breaks them up, and he turns back into a man, and then that like combines into a staff, and he hid it away in a cave, and that cave was where Hermes was born, and it's also where he lived for a long time too. So that's the story there. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, the iconography is like kind of fun, and then it's great to it's fucking hilarious to fuck your occultist stuff. I'll occult it up worse.
I thought that was a really good catch to see the caduceus there. I had just seen the snakes and not really connected it to the phallic.
You didn't see a dick, huh?
I did see it.
Gotcha, bitch.
I didn't see the caduceus. Like I just saw the snake. I'm a big fan of snake mythology because the snake in the Bible, is the star of the first story where he tempts Eve.
The star. He's the star of the story.
The star. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And snakes are the guardians of higher knowledge in some aspects of mythology, which I have always really enjoyed. The idea that we should always be questioning and not stop for the sake of maintaining our beliefs.
That curiosity is good.
Yeah. So, tree of knowledge. Eve shouldn't have done that, right?
Bad apple. Well, so anyway, so then Teresia tells Puck a little bit more about the Count, and just that she's making the reader aware that she knows that something's up. Mm-hmm. Like that he is not just killing heretics and pagans, he's just like killing peeps. And so you're kind of wondering, like, does she know if he's a monster or not, And
she does say it's almost as if he's not human anymore.
Yeah, that's true, right. So she's she's feeling it. But she is she's like a higher order human, maybe because she's a child and probably has actually been interestingly protected by the Count from this, you know. I mean, if you are a girl growing up in this world, you're fucking food for the entire world, honestly. So in this next section, this is our boy Doll. You might remember him. He's worried. He's always worried. And but he's a good man. He's just done everything wrong, and he's in a bad situation. So you know, I feel bad for him. So this is his last stand. He's here, and he is ready to tell Guts, because Guts is approaching the Count, and this is going to be the real fight. You know, the actual title bout. And so Doll's like, "You'll go no further," right? And this is absurd because Guts has been fighting monsters. I mean, I guess it's a little bit realistic in the sense that he is really fucked up, you know? But he's also really fucking pissed, and this is called Berserk, so you wouldn't want him to go Berserk on you. He has a bunch of soldiers, right, and they're fighting, and so there's some archers, and they're shooting at him, and, you know, he blocks it with his sword, and I just can't believe he's blocking it with his sword or whatever.
One little thing there, after he blocks the arrows with his sword, I just love, there's this, like, little jagged, bubble.
Oh, like the surprise indicator.
Yeah, this happens to Doll a lot actually, where he gets that little bubble, and I just love it. It has nothing in it, but it's just there to show, like, somebody is going WTF.
Yeah. So, so that's interesting. And that's something you don't see, like. You're not used to that because you haven't been watching this, but these like indications that give you a better idea of some like quick emotion. Yeah, and so this guy Jericho comes out, or Jericho, I don't know. It's another ENGRISH, more encountering ENGRISH. What'd you think when you saw that?
I couldn't decide which it is, right? Jericho? I feel like it should be Jericho.
I kind of like Jericho. I want it to be different than what... I want the accident to make it different.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah.
It should be different, right?
Yeah, happy accident, happy little trees. And so he has this weapon that is, it's basically like a flail. It's like a chain flail. It's like a double morning star. And so I was looking at this a little bit, and I mean, like, these exist, you know, like you can buy one. I was thinking about get on Amazon and buying one. Because I don't have my nunchucks. Okay. No. So, but they're also like not very efficient weapons, because you know the problem is that they like keep the same momentum. So if you miss, they come back at you. Although this Jericho is fully armed, but what happens to Jericho? Well, he gets two-shotted, right? He gets like a blunt smashing pack, face armor, which you know is kind of like a Mad Max Master Blaster thing, where he looks like a total goof when he gets his helmet popped off. And then the next swing is just, he gets cut the fucking half, and the pillar behind him gets cut the fucking half. And so this is kind of drilling it in that, like, regular peeps are gonna be doing not shit. It's kind of like drilling in just the total difference between monsters and regular people, you know, because they had to make it. He couldn't have him just get cut in half. Had to be him and a pillar, just to add a little bit more feet to.
You know, he's losing so much blood, but you know he takes down pillars as well.
Yeah, sure. But that's a big sword. That's a big swing, and there's like 1,000 lines depicting the sword swing, which is amazing.
I do love in that full page spread when he's taking out the pillar, the movement that's indicated at his feet, where he's like sliding.
Yeah, he's swinging the sword and doing some sliding stuff, and so so that's cool that you're enjoying that the aspect. The full page spreads are wonderful, you know. Okay, good. Your G gauge is not like flying anymore. It's not pinging.
I mean, not right now, you know.
Okay.
It'll get up.
Oh, it's going to get up there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. It's not the end of that.
No. Teresia and Puck, it cuts back to this. And, you know, I was reading this and I was thinking, like, Puck is really giving Teresia the like human interaction that she craves, and like locked in this, regal hierarchy with her father is a monster protecting her from everyone, and it's probably she has some contact with that doll guy and other people that are just retainers and whatnot to her aid. Like she's probably not getting any real conversation, and so it's good that Puck is giving this to her.
It's kind of fascinating because, as you were mentioning, her father is a monster and he's locking her up. The call is coming from inside the house, so how's that going to affect things in the future?
Oh yeah, like right, will she get eaten, or like it's like if she uncovers this mystery, it's not going to go good for her. But so Puck is like looking around and he's like noticing all these toys in her room and stuff, and it's like, she even has this wonderful life, essentially like completely catered to and taken care of. But she's a higher being than that. Like her mind is in the right space for connection with other people and freedom. She's asking Puck about flight, and so she's obviously looking out the window, and this is just drilling in like people's dream of flight and being able to fly away from troubles and stuff like that. What were your thoughts on that? Were you like, well, or this is interesting?
Given the context, I can't roll my eyes too much, but I really hate when people answer the, what superpower would you have? But I would fly.
What's your favorite superpower? Yeah.
You and everybody else. Come
yeah,
on.
but you're a fucking peeper, so you would become invisible, so you could just get dastardly info on people.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in every game, I want to be like the spy or the information gatherer,
But people want to fly. That's probably like how apes were like escaping predators on the ground to trees and stuff. And then also like, before people knew what space was, everyone was thinking, the clouds, the heavens realm. There's this sort of just like, to fly among the clouds would be amazing, which I guess it would be.
I'm sure it's probably an incredible rush.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, the paraglider, right? It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's also like something it's like skydiving, like I will not skydive.
No.
Do you skydive?
No, not at
Fuck
all.
no. Right. She's a good character, it's like good to get her in here after Vargas dies. Because now you've got another like sympathetic human character. And she has a unique place because she sets outside of the fear paradigm from a monster consuming you or killing you perspective. At the same time, Guts is encountering the Count, right? And the Count is basically like, Koi. And he's like, Guts is walking up there. He kicks Doll through the door. And Doll's like, oh no, ow, and he's walking up there and a fight ensues. So like the Count has like, stuffed his appendage floor, I guess, and he's gonna have it break up out of the floor. But Guts knows it's there. Why? Mm-hmm. He knows that shit's going down, and I'm sure that there's a sensitivity level to the brand that is like he's just kind of getting a sense. That's my feeling there. And so
that's absolutely true.
But it's not shown in the that's my conjecture. It's not shown in the panels. So the rest of the arm or whatever like breaks on the ground. It's like totally phallic. He's just like sitting there on the throne with his like monster tentacle. Like it's like in between, a mix between a hand and a tentacle, and a dick, right?
I don't know. It's almost like a magic carpet, like
it does
a very
like
high pile shag magic carpet.
Or that's another term. Could be. Anyway, so and the Count is like not. He is not phased, scared, nothing. He's ready to go. And I guess it's because he's going to show his final form here, right? which he does, and it is from a monster perspective, from a creature, from a beastology perspective. For the bestiary, it's pretty cool form. It's like kind of a mix between a caterpillar and a frog with some catfish aspects, and it's like elephant feet. It's like if an elephant had toes, like human toes.
To some extent, I'm also thinking dog in a way. Just from like the short, bulbous legs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then the other thing here is that like this seems more like a true form for him because one, his own mouth isn't good enough. He needs a gigantic other undermouth, with its lips rolled back like permanently, so those teeth are like kind of always smiling. And so this is the big fight here. And so like, I mean, we could like, wax poetic about this forever, but we'll just hit the points that kind of matter. So, Guts is going toe to toe with him and he cuts him up again. And it's kind of like no biggie. Dahl is like witnessing this fight and he's like, oh my word, and so he's like, he can't believe what he's seeing. And also like, this is signifying that his life is close to an end, which, I mean, he looks like he's 76 or something. So, I mean, I guess you'd have to have a rigorous body to live in the world. But, So what Guts does is like Dahl is trying to leave. He's like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And then Guts sees him and like he gets frozen. He's like, oh shit. And so Guts pulls the old shadow clone trick jutsu where he puts his, coat on him and the Count thinks it's him. And the Count smashes through a pillar and tricks even Puck gets trickier. And so Dahl is killed by the Count. I mean, the Count doesn't give a fuck, but
I thought that was a little cheap because he doesn't show any frames where Guts is putting the cloak.
But that's like you're seeing it. You are from the perspective.
Right.
It has to
He's
trick you.
faking us out
right,
too.
He's faking you out
Yeah.
too. And actually, if you look at the picture where it shows the cloak, like behind the thing, it shows another picture, and it actually is Dahl. Like you see his bald head, and he's got this like little bit oversized yarmulke on, which is funny. Mm-hmm. So you actually can see that it's him. So he kills him, and then Guts uses that moment to strike, and he actually does cut some eyeball tentacles. And his eye. And so, what struck me here in this is that the eye doesn't reform. Like, the eye is cut and it is fucked. Mm-hmm. And he is now with one eye, and it doesn't like come back, and he doesn't mutate, and he's not like blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So, and he did say, this is how you kill me. Hit me in the head. But this is like the end of the good stuff for Guts. So he's getting thrown around and seriously fucked up. And then here the Count is like, now I'm going to tell you about how good Monster Con is. I'll tell you. And so, what were you feeling about the Count's words here?
The thing that stuck out to me the most and was the most fascinating to me was the phrase "divine providence cannot be thwarted by man's efforts," and I think that's probably been a theme and will be a theme.
Right.
Guts has this brand, and this is supposed to.
He's marked for death, right?
Yeah.
And he, that's something that the Count mentions. He's like, oh shit, you got this brand, like, this is crazy. Like, you have been surviving with this.
How are you even here?
Yeah, and it's interesting because he, like, actually has a little bit of compassion in a way, because he's like, look, like, you're gonna die. Like, that's what that means. So just, you've done good, let me kill you. I'll just kill you right now, it'll be over. it's all good. And the divine providence line that he's saying, you know, is kind of like really absolutely snapping some of Guts' strings, because there's a picture where Guts is actually like feeling that thing. But the Count is like, oh, like how have you survived this long? And he's like, oh, it must be revenge. I see. Like there's revenge in you, and that's what's keeping you there. So is that tropey? We have another revenge plot.
To me, I'm just dying to learn more about his backstory, and he is being driven by such a strong sense of anger and fury that I am like on the edge of my seat. Like I really badly want to know.
So you want the plot armor to work for him so you can get to know more about it.
Well, of course, and it's going to, right? So I'll find out his story at some point.
What if he's just a mean, mad white man and the vitriol is evident?
So I'm saying again, you're a mean, mad white man, and the viciousness is evident.
Okay.
I mean, you know, that's patriarchy, right?
Sure. I think that's true. Yeah, so it's a good fight. It's generally a good fight, and it ends where Guts is just absolutely fucked up, destroyed, and laying strewn about a broken pillar.
Yeah, and that actually called to mind for me the death of Superman. Those images there just reminded me of that particular installment of the comic.
Did you want to say anything else about that? Because we talked about this a little bit, and we were kind of talking about the failings of American comics, and I would say like American fiction, and I kind of almost say like American stories in general. I feel like there's another like video, non-chapter review related brewing there.
There is. When I was researching the death of Superman, I realized just how much or how many different superhero stories I had followed via comics, and feeling like all of them were generally junk.
Like just dribble?
Like I felt like what I was reading was empty. Like so many big things happen to these characters in the end, and in the end none of it really matters. Like Superman dies,
right,
and then I think like not 6 months later he's back and alive again. Like
so I definitely like while I don't want to cut you off, I think that's its own video. Yeah. And so it'll be interesting to continue forward and see like what spins off into other ideas. And the other thing is like, are you feeling like this is giving you content that is of a deeper level and more meaningful than that? Is that your point there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember I read a bunch of X-Men comics, like in the like omnibus form, or like all of them grouped together to like follow a bunch of the storylines. And this is just so much heftier in a way. Like I walk away feeling like I'm reading a story that's intriguing to me.
The themes are more adult. But it's not just that. That's a question without a question mark at the end of it.
There's just, I guess so often when I read like visual mediums, I feel like I wasn't really impacted, and I didn't really get anything out of it. But that's
like Sandman.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just different. I really didn't like the art there, so that was probably a bigger issue in terms of absorbing the content itself. But walking away from reading Berserk, like it really has me, it's really has me intrigued, and I want to learn more, and I want to understand what's going on. And as much as I complain about the idea that Guts can't die because he's the main character, like I do feel like this story matters in a way that, say, like the Jean Grey story in X-Men.
Oh, like Dark Phoenix.
didn't hit me in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, right. It'll be normal next week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like we were talking about like Rogue and like what are all the things that have happened to Rogue and the X-Men and how little any of it matters. Because,
but I'm gonna stop you here. I mean, I agree with you, but like let's save that for content for another day. Okay, so this next chapter that's coming up next is absolutely going to be baller, and there's going to be a lot of crazy shit that's happening there, and so I'm super excited to see what you come up with for that. And so in closing, remember to
Know your faults, for they are many. Victory!